What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about Pokémon Sword and Pokémon Shield, as it's been a while since I've actually talked about these games on the channel, but we've actually had something pretty interesting which just came out at the start of the year, and I feel like we should talk about this because it really gives some insight into these games. Now, I think that everyone can agree that Pokémon Sword and Shield were definitely some very divisive games, and they were definitely pretty controversial within the Pokémon community, and even just in video games in general. I'm sure you guys remember that year with 2019 with just everything happening, and regardless of your stance on the game and how you feel about it, like Pokémon Sword and Shield in general, like you could just say anything about it, and it's going to be one of those things where people are always just going to be either disagreeing with you or completely agreeing with you, no matter what stance you take on the game. Now, personally for me, I still had a decent time with Pokémon Sword and Shield. I don't think that they're like the worst games ever made, but at the same time, they really weren't like insanely fun Pokémon games for me either. I kind of just beat them and I was like, okay, I'm done with it. I didn't have like an insanely amazing fun time with them. And I would probably say that they're some of my least favorite Pokemon games like that I've played, but I wouldn't say that they're like the worst games ever made, and you can still have a decent time with them. I feel like if you still enjoy Pokemon for just catching the Pokemon and battling gyms, you're still pretty much going to get that inside of Sword and Shield, but personally, I just didn't have as much fun as I did with previous Pokemon games in the past. And so that's why we've got like a special interview here with some of the developers at the Pokemon Company, and they're actually kind of taking like a look back on Pokemon Sword and Shield as it did come out 3 years ago. So this was like one of the first things that they did in 2022, and I haven't really seen many people talking about this, so I feel like I should make a video on it and kind of give you guys my thoughts because it really gives some insight as to kind of how Pokemon Sword and Shield turned out to be the way that it did. Alright, so here we are on the article where it says here, GameFreak reflects on the making of Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Over on its recruitment website, GameFreak posted an interesting article about the creation of Pokémon Sword and Pokémon Shield. Director Shigeru Omori and planning director Kazumasa Iwao provided some insight on how the Switch games came to be. We've now translated the full piece. If you're interested in learning more about Pokémon Sword and Shield's development, continue on below. And of course, I will have this article linked below in the description if you guys want to go and check it out after you're done watching the video. But it says here, we asked the director and planning director of Pokemon Sword and Shield about the development cycle, teams behind the game, and what the future of the Pokemon franchise looks like. So for members, we've got Shigeru Omori, director of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Omori has been involved with Pokemon since Ruby and Sapphire, as well as numerous other Pokemon games. And Kazumasa Iwao, the planning director for Pokemon Sword and Shield, excels in field and UI planning and led the project with Omori throughout development. Alright, so the first thing that it says here is changing the planning process of the Pokemon series. Omori and a few other key staff members started to think about the concept for the new Pokemon game right after Pokemon Sun and Moon development finished in the fall of 2016. With the knowledge that the Nintendo Switch can connect to a television, the initial idea was to make a Pokemon title larger in scope in order to surprise players. Omori met with Iwao, who directed Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and things started in September of 2017. Omori named the games after the team thought of giving Pokemon swords and shields to fight gigantic Pokemon. The development team was very particular about the graphics for the new game, especially when factoring in that it was able to be connected to a big screen. The team wanted the title to be enjoyable in both docked and portable modes. Omori reflected on the project, saying that he placed a heavy emphasis on how the game would fit into players' lifestyle and how the team could incorporate the strengths of the new console. He also mentioned how they thoroughly considered the planning and design of the game. The original Pokemon games were made by a very small team, and their approach to improving the quality of different aspects was to make something, break it, and then make it up again. Improvements in technology also made it impossible for the same approach to be used this time, as development teams became much larger. Omori knew that if he approached the new game like older generations, it would cause mass confusion. To prevent any confusion and misunderstandings, Omori assembled a small core team at the very start of the development that conceived the design for the title. This allowed the team to put everything that they planned into the game. So this is pretty interesting because it talks about how there was actually a very small team at the start of Pokemon Sword and Shield's development, and that kind of grew bigger, so it kind of makes a lot of sense why a lot of the game kind of might seem like it wasn't really full of a ton of stuff, because they did start out with a very small kind of team with just the development of the game. The changing of the guard, giving young staff more chance, opportunities, and responsibilities. Iwao says one of the most important themes during the development of Sword and Shield was the generational shift among the staff. He gave higher positions to younger staff members who had the ability and motivation to take on the responsibility, which gave them opportunities to grow and learn. The staff should not only have the ability to carry out the tasks placed in front of them, but communicate and build rapport with other team members in the process. A project like Pokemon cannot be made by an individual. When asked how the younger staff performed, Iwao felt the lack of knowledge and experience sometimes did show through the project. Young staff got stuck in numerous occasions and received a lot of advice from the more experienced staff members. They struggled but eventually made it through with the help of the more experienced staff. It has always been a tradition at GameFreak to give opportunities to the youth. Even for Omori, he was chosen as the planning leader for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl when he was 25, while all the other staff were more experienced members. The organization often changes with every game title, which is another thing that makes GameFreak so unique. Alright, so this is definitely one of the most important parts of this article because it really talks about how a lot of the big and important aspects of Pokemon Sword and Shield were actually handed down to the younger staff for the first time, and I think it's cool how they had the opportunity to work on these things, but at the same time, like how Iwao mentioned, the lack of knowledge and experience from the younger staff definitely showed through the project, and I think a lot of people who did play through Pokemon Sword and Shield can definitely see that there were some parts where the game just didn't look that good, and some of the decisions that they made were also not the best, so I feel like it is cool that they give them a chance and had some of these bigger responsibilities, but I do think that having more experienced staff working on the game would have been better in the long run. Alright, the next thing that it says here is for each individual to give their 100%. As the director leading the project, there were several factors that Omori paid attention to. One of them was for Omori to delegate to individual tasks that they excelled at. For instance, through communicating with the staff, Omori gave clothing design to those who liked fashion, sporty clothes to the staff who liked sports, cafe lovers who designed these spots for a cafe-like feeling, and so on. Omori wanted every individual to bring out their strengths. This resulted in team members having the freedom to express themselves and is perhaps one of the reasons why this game is enjoyed by many. One of the director's jobs is to create an environment which brings out the best in all of the staff. Omori adds that he wants to continue being a part of the new projects in the future. He shares that he wants to start new projects not by designing, but from making prototypes of the game instead. He aims for games to be made not only by planners, but also by designers and programmers. This allows for anyone to be able to pitch in ideas and create games that can be enjoyed by even more people. So this is kind of cool because it talks about how Omori gave certain staff roles to people who like certain things, so that was able to bring out some of the better ideas into Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I do think that this is a pretty nice philosophy to have, and I think in terms of making projects like this, it can be really good. And really the last thing that it says here is the development of Pokemon is never boring, it's addictive. Even after 20 years, the Pokemon franchise is still growing strong, and Omori says that even if he thinks that a game is perfect, there are always new ideas after the project is over. He added that Pokemon will continue to change with new technology, new development teams, and new ways of playing the games. Omori wants to create Pokemon games that gamers desire and give the feeling that Pokemon exists and lives with us. It might be surprising to hear that every Pokemon title is made in an entirely different way. Team members try not to rely on experience and enjoy tackling a new challenge when given to them. Iwao emphasized that no matter the work, if you do it long enough, it will eventually become tedious. With GameFreak, however, there are always new opportunities and positions, and being able to learn in gear projects means that it never gets repetitive and it never gets boring. With the vast amount of experience spanning over 20 years, a unique system that allows youths to experience failure and success, and a company continuing to change generations, Pokemon will continue to evolve. So the last thing here was just really nice, is talking about how Pokemon, for them, it still looks like it is very fun for them to develop the games, and I really hope that that is the case. I don't want it to be kind of like boring for them where they feel like they just need to get out new Pokemon games because that's what they need to do. If they're still having fun kind of putting new ideas and things into the Pokemon games, that's definitely really good. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of the end of the article here, but I think that this article was kind of nice to kind of get some insight into the development of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and especially if you were somebody who didn't have like a ton of fun with Pokemon Sword and Shield, or you definitely kind of noticed some of the flaws and issues that the game had. I do think that this article does give a little bit of insight into why the games turned out to be the way that they did, and especially with giving some of like the younger staff a lot more of these bigger responsibilities, especially for like an entirely new generation, it does make a lot of sense with how the games turned out to be the way that they did. And so yeah, there you go guys, that is the full interview for the development of Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think that it was pretty interesting to kind of see why the games turned out to be the way that they did, and if you were somebody like me who also just didn't have as much fun with these games, I think that reading through this, it definitely does give you an idea as to why the games were kind of the way that they were. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, then definitely be sure to click that like button, and also comment down below and let me know how you guys feel about this. How do you guys feel about Pokemon Sword and Shield, and how do you guys feel about kind of like the interview itself and how some of the direction went with this game? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Pokemon content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros. And Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.